Another break week, another hair color. What is up, you guys? Welcome back into another One Piece video. Today, of course, it is a post-game time. Just in case you're new here, how this works is that I like to go through the 1157 comment section and see what everybody's talking about. I will sort this from the top comment and then go all the way down to the bottom comment. Okay, I paused there because I'm not really gonna do that. There's way too many comments, so we'll stop after like 30 or 40 minutes. You guys know the drill. Let's hop right into it. Okay, the top comment is a comment that glazes me. Look at that. Oh, thank God. Hi, Sai. I'm drunk as Zora right now, but I wanted to say hi for the YouTube algorithm. One of the best YouTubers around. Respect, brother. You make my day all the time. One of the best is a good way to put it, because I'm not the best. I have a lot of friends who do One Piece YouTube as well, and I think they're a lot more talented than me. I'm just a guy that sits here and talks, man, but I appreciate the kindness. This one says, Young Kaido, being envious of Whitebeard's fruit makes me think he saw crazy displays of Conqueror's Haki from Roger later on to make him change his opinion, especially with this speech on Haki and the high regard he holds Roger at. Shiki, being my favorite Rock's pirate member, is unexpected, but he's such an endearing rat. Okay, you said endearing, and I was like, wait a minute, endearing. But yes, he is a endearing rat, as you put it, right? He's just really funny. It's the facial expressions that sell me. My favorite pirate right now has to be Wang Ji. And you might be wondering, Sai, wait, what? Wang Ji? Where did he come from? He didn't really have any panel time in 1157. Why is he your favorite? Well, it is because in every panel he is in, he looks so stupid. And you guys know me, I love dumb looking characters. I'm like from one extreme to the other. I either love the dumbest looking characters or complete aura farmers. And Wang Ji is so heavy on this side of the spectrum, I respect it, right? And somehow, we can't forget, somehow, this guy takes over Pirate Island after Rocks goes down, and then we needed Blackbeard, Kobe, and Law to take him down. Current day. Bro, what is with this guy, right? Behind the derpy appearance is a monster. So now, as far as Kaido respecting Roger, I do agree with that. I do think he saw crazy clashes coming out of the Roger-Rocks matchup. Maybe even Garp thrown in there too, because he also has Conqueror's Haki. And yeah, Kaido saw that and he was like, wow, that is a pinnacle of power that I need to achieve. Like I said though, I do think Devil Fruits are needed, right? Devil Fruits are never a bad thing, but Haki is what will put you above and beyond, right? While not everybody can find an amazing Devil Fruit, everybody can have amazing levels of Haki. You just gotta train that up naturally. And is it a hot take? No, it isn't. I love Haki. I love that the common man can just train their willpower and then tackle on and beat these monsters. Conqueror's Haki is a weird one because, obviously you kind of have to either unlock it via your desire or you're born with it. So I'm kind of mixed on Conqueror's Haki still. It hasn't really been touched on how you directly acquire it, right? Everything we've heard about Conqueror's Haki is from like 10, 15 years ago, so it's really wishy-washy. But yeah, if Conqueror's Haki was more accessible, I would like it more. Because for example, right, like imagine Joe Schmo. He's on an island, he wants to protect his family, Devil Fruit users come by, and he's like, oh, like I trained up, I have Haki, but this guy has Conqueror's Haki, and he's just gonna beat me now. Like, I'm just gonna lose because I wasn't born with it. That's why I personally don't like it in most cases. It's weird though, because there are instances where I like how exclusive it is, but also I'm like, wait, is it too exclusive? I don't know. I haven't really sat and thought about it too much, but I would like to pass the question on to you guys. Would you rather want Conqueror's Haki to be exclusive and for those who were simply born with it or have that certain ambition? Which the ambition part gets kind of wishy-washy because it's like, okay, what do you define as a good ambition or a kingly ambition, right? Because we do have characters like Katakuri who, their kingly ambition is protecting their family, so it seems very broad if that's what we're going with. But like I said, Conqueror's Haki and how you acquire it hasn't really been touched on for a long time, so Oda can easily expand upon that. This is the most I've laughed out loud reading a One Piece chapter in a real long time. Shiki has got to be my favorite Rocks pirate. He is a straight up scumbag and it is hilarious. Wow, 2 comments back to back glazing Shiki. Gotta love it. Is this the most love he's ever had? Because I remember leaving Strong World, people liked Shiki, but they didn't love Shiki. I feel like these chapters are doing him a lot of justice, right? This says, it seems that the theory of Kyoto Silverax being a marine disguised as a pirate, just like how X-Drake was, may be right. I think he may be the one that kidnapped Shakky from Hachinosu. That's crazy. Okay. Kyoto being the traitor, I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Out of all of the Rocks Pirate members, I think he's my #1 pick right now. There's other good candidates, right? Captain John has good theories around him. Stussy has a lot of good theories around her. Don Marlone, etc. All great, but Kyowo is my number one pick as well. I mean, dude, just the X on the chin reminds me of X Drake. Surely Oda knew what he was doing when he put that there, right? Like, there's only 2 characters in the series that has the X on the chin. Him and X Drake. And X Drake was a pirate that worked for Kaido that was only really there to betray him and to later side with the Marines. So yeah, I do think Kyowo is that guy. As far as kidnapping Shakky, though, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, hey, one of the few characters that could resist Boa Hancock's temptation, her overwhelming figure, was Momonga. And he was a Marine, right? He was a Vice Admiral. Maybe Silver Axe will display that Marine dedication and also overcome the lust in his heart. I don't know. It's just odd, right? Like Kobe or Drake, etc. Yes, they work for the Marines, but would they really kidnap a woman, though? That's kind of where I draw the line. Like, yeah, sure, Buster calling an island, why not, dude? Marine Fort? Oh, hell yeah. Kidnapping this lady for the Celestial Dragons, maybe that's where I draw the line. But we'll see, right? Maybe the payoff for this would be taking down one of the most infamous and strongest pirate groups out on the open seas, and maybe that's worth it, but I don't know. I do not know. This one says, Captain John is definitely the father of some of Big Mom's first kids. That purple hair doesn't lie. One day, Oda's gonna have to do it. You know, Oda is gonna have to do it. Somebody has to pick up the mantle, pick up the pen and paper, and send Oda the SBS question. Did Big Mom sleep with any of the Rock's pirate members or anybody else we know of? Right? Because Big Mom, she sees an interesting looking guy. She sees a gene she wants. She goes for it. I wouldn't be shocked if some of the Rock's pirates were, you know, her liking, for lack of a better way to put it. This says, if Garp trained Luffy in Haki, he would have one-shot all the pre-time skip and beginning post-time skip villains, because you can't convince me Garp wasn't top 1 Marine during his era. I think he was. People want to say it was Kong, like, oh, King Kong, you know, Godzilla, this guy's crazy. Dude, I don't know. Like, I get why people like Kong, and they're like, yo, Kong is like the top tier Marine, he's a legend, but we just haven't heard of anything. That is my thing with Kong and some of these characters, right? Like, there's characters that we know of that haven't fought, but we expect good things from them, right? Dragon, he has the monkey D-tax. Mihawk, oh, he used to clash with Shanks. Kong, we got nothing, dude. There's no reason for us to believe that Kong is like a top 1 Marine, minus his name. Minus his name and title, that's pretty much it. So I respect the Kong hype, but I do kind of agree with this, right? If I had to put my money down, I do think Garp was the top 1 Marine. As far as him training Luffy in Haki, yeah, right? We could say this with pretty much anybody, like Rayleigh, for example. Rayleigh could have been like, hey, Luffy, let me teach you about Future Sight. Hey, Luffy, Ryuo. Hey, Luffy, Advanced Conqueror's Coding. These mentors, man, they only will do so much. Then again, Garp didn't really do anything, to be fair. Garp's training was dropping Luffy in the jungle. So he did kind of train him, but he trained him like early Naruto Jiraiya, where Jiraiya just dropped Naruto in like a chasm and said, hey, good luck surviving this. It's the Rock Simps. They called Roger a fraud for gooning, then Rocks did the same. So they are hating and coping like their life depends on it. Personally, I love it. It is funny. Yeah, I like it too. And like I said, the simping for me, very neutral. I think it is a net neutral overall, but knowing that they simped so hard that they went to God Valley, that puts them on another tier. Now I see it all as a positive, right? Because we have a lot of performative simps out there like, ooh, liking a picture. Ooh, I like that picture. But only true goats will go out and donate. That sounds crazy. That's not like an OnlyFans endorsement, by the way. That's just the best analogy I had in my head. This one says, Oda, after hearing complaints on how Roger was gooning over Shakky, while Syvduck was doing world-shattering activity, decides to have Syvduck goon just as hard to make them on equal footing. Yeah, I kind of feel like that's what he aimed for, right? He's like, hey, we had some Roger stuff, here's some Syvduck stuff where he does the exact same thing, right? Even though goats are susceptible to Shacky's temptation. Something funny though, or at least something I am looking forward to, is Roger feats. Of course, acquired the One Piece, massive, but I would love a but like a panel or page rundown of the multiple things that Roger has accomplished. Kind of like how Rocks had it last chapter and this chapter. Last chapter, it was like, oh, he killed an admiral, he destroyed a gate of justice, he also robbed a celestial dragon tribute ship, and then in this chapter, it's like, by the way, they took down like 5,000 towns or something, right? That's an exaggeration, but you guys get what I mean, right? We had a whole thing of just listing Rock's feat one after another. I hope we get that with Roger. Like, imagine that. Like, oh, Roger took down the infamous bounty hunter around the sea who went around taking down billionberry men. You know, Roger established the Yonko system. Or Roger was the reason the Shishubukais was created. I would absolutely love some crazy Roger drops like that. And I think a lot of people would too. Hopefully that's not like controversial. Like, oh, Roger doesn't need feats. Roger doesn't need feats. I think he does. I definitely think he does. And you gotta admit, getting that would not hurt him at all, right? It's always a positive, never a negative with that. Ivankov, I bet they're here to get slaves and devil fruits to empower themselves. Kuma, I bet it's for altruistic reasons. Rocks, pirates, gooners for Shakky. That is true. I bet they were also here for the slaves and the devil fruits and the celestial dragons, but Shakky was it. What's funny is, you know, I talked about this before, but because of the Kuma Jinny flashback, a lot of people, myself included, we dropped theories on what the treasure of Hachinosu was. You know, was it one of the devil fruits? Was it Kaido's? Was it Whitebeard's? You know, was the Yami Yami over there? We had so many theories, and it doesn't help because the way Jinny phrased it, right? She said, oh, I leaked the prizes. And then she listed 2 devil fruits. So it's like, okay, so the rest of the prizes are probably devil fruits too. And then when we saw God Valley, we saw 6 treasure chests behind the celestial dragons. So we're like, oh, those are all the prizes. Little did we know that there was something that she might have left out to us, the audience, right? I'm assuming Jinny also mentioned Shakky. Like, maybe she was also a main prize and that's why she was listed there. But yeah, kind of funny overall, man. I love it. Harald. Saving the kidnapped people really shows a full circle of his character, going from someone who just viewed humans as dolls to doing what it takes to help the humans in need. Harald may be gone now, but his dreams of peace will come true. Yeah, rest in peace, Harald, man. It really seems like he gets the short end of the stick after Rox dies, right? We don't know what Harald had to put up with during his Marie's Raw visits, but I'm assuming it's nothing good. I'm assuming Harald is having to lie through his teeth time and time again to Imu, to the Gorosei, to the Celestial Dragons, and I'm not ready for that, right? I feel like Harald will suffer a lot pretty soon, but that's just me. This one, first up, thank you for the 2, brother. The gravestone is 100% Shiki. Born in the West Blue, raised in Ringo. Shiki. Wano-ass robes. Wano-ass name. French-ass voice. A lot of people are telling me to check out the Shiki voice. I watched Strong World. I don't remember a French voice, so I might have to check that out again. He probably didn't die. He just floated away. Yeah, Shiki's he's a weird one, right? It's funny because I feel like the Shiki theories of the Shiki camp has really died down in the past couple of weeks, ever since we met Kyoto. But I respect the commitment, man. I respect the Shiki commitment here. And it would be kind of interesting too, you know, if there ever is a Shiki reintroduction and Yamato actually sees him and Yamato's like, hey, Shiki, you're the hero of Wano. Like, you're the hero of Ringo. What are you doing here? You're a bad guy? What do you mean? That would be kind of fun to see. So this comment says, Whitebeard already has the earthquake fruit. So for me, this excludes it from the 2 fruits that Rox was talking about. Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. I forgot that this was a prominent theory, 2 weeks ago? People were saying, oh, like what if one of the fruits was, one of the fruits that Blackbeard had, right? So Blackbeard already technically has both devil fruits that Rox talked about. So this right here does wipe that out from existence. So they go on and they say, which many people were theorizing were the 2 fruits that Blackbeard has. Yep, I still believe the 2 fruits are Loki's devil fruit and the Yami Yami no Mi. Yeah, Loki's devil fruit is an interesting one. I still am unsure if he even has one, if I'm being quite honest. And if he has one, I don't know if it's going to be the Elbaf devil fruit, which may sound weird, but this whole flashback's been kind of crazy, right? The reason why is just, you know, Loki was not the guy that showed up to the treasure room during the beginning of this flashback, right? Loki was not the guy who initially looked at that fruit. We heard that Loki ate the fruit due to outside sources, but Loki has never once said anything about a devil fruit yet. So I am really skeptical on that part. Like, Loki could have just been blamed for eating the fruit, kind of like how they blamed him for killing his father. I think that could be the case. And as far as Loki having a devil fruit, I think there is a chance that he might have eaten one on the side and just people didn't know about it, so they conflated the two. That's my own kooky theory on that. That is mainly because I think the two fruits that Rocks wanted are the Yami Yami and the Sun God Nika fruit. But we will see about that one. This says, they were slandering Roger for simping. What happens now? They aren't saying the same thing about Whitebeard and Rocks. Why are they quiet now? So funny enough, you say this, why are they quiet now? But here's the thing, you know, as a guy that has his YouTube notifications turned on, and as a guy who's, you know, obviously whose video this is, I still see them. You know, I do see people still hating the whole Rocks simping gooning thing. So they're still around, brother. They are still around. I think they've just kind of died down. I feel like it's like a 50-50 thing, right? 50% of people are still hating on it, but the other 50%, they have just kind of accepted it. You know, it's like a post-nut clarity, right? You get mad at the beginning, and then after you nut, you calm down a little bit. You start reflecting on it. You're like, yeah, maybe it's not that bad. Well, then again, post-nut clarity, you kind of regret the nut, right? I feel like we have more regretful nuts than good nuts. Is that true?
What?
I like this chapter. The subversion of expectations and predictions by Oda on what the crown jewel of Hachinosu was masterful. And what I think was personally truly masterful about it was that it was in front of our faces the entire time, right? You could, this is not impossible, but you could have genuinely extrapolated the theory that Shakky was the crown jewel before this chapter and even last chapter, because this existed in an SBS already, right? This was already established to an extent, right? So this is an idea that Oda's been having for a long time now. So it's kind of funny, like it's there, man. It was there. You know, it's not like one of those last minute changes that Oda has where it's like, oh, I'm feeling like this today, so Oda just completely flips his story. No. He's been building up to this, which I think is the best part about it. Harald, John Giant, joined of his own volition. Harald, unaware that Carmel trafficked John and several giants behind his back to have them join the world government. If I recall correctly, she didn't, like, traffic them. She merely paved a fake road to having giants join easier. I think that's what it is. I could be wrong, though. It's been a while. A Wild Kong appearance. I find it intriguing that the WG is so averse to Elbaf joining them, yet at the same time, they want the power of Elbaf's army so badly. Things change, man. You know, things change, circumstances change, and it could just be like a void century grudge. Like, kind of like how they don't want fishmen in the world government as well. Like, they had the whole discrimination thing going on for years. It could be like that, where maybe during the Void Century, because of whatever Joy Boy and his allies did, Emu and the Gore say they're like, hey, maybe we don't let them in, you know? We're just gonna hold on to this grudge until we need them again, until our hand is forced. But yeah, it is odd now that they didn't just simply extend an olive branch after King Harald died. Maybe they tried to, and then, you know, since Elbaf didn't have a leader, they couldn't. But yeah, I do find it a little bit interesting. This one says, not even the great Rocks and Whitebeard can escape Lady Shakky's graces. Really definitely has something wrong with his head. I can't believe she is the reason that God Valley happened, but I think that was a trap to bait Rocks to where Harald would kill him. Yeah, Harald being at God Valley is really interesting. I still don't think he goes, but of course, I mean, we didn't think Shakky was there. Now we know that she was there, so, you know, anything could happen. And then same with the Holy Knights as well, right? Because when Sengoku told us that Garp and Roger, you know, teamed up to take down the Rocks pirates, we didn't know anything about the Holy Knights, right? They were not even mentioned once leading up to that point. And now we have context that Garling and the boys were there. So it's like, yeah, like, hey, for all we know, Harald could have been there too. You know, until we get the God Valley flashback, anything is possible. As far as it being a trap to bait Rocks, I do wonder how that would have worked. All right, because I don't know if they would put actual celestial dragons in harm's way to get Rocks like this. A true bait would be if they said, hey, you know, Shakky's on this island, and then you go there, and it's a trap with the Holy Knights and King Harald. But no, when Rock showed up here, we actually had a Celestial Dragon contest going on. You know, we had people who couldn't fight on that island. So I don't think it was bait. I feel like they knew that this could happen, but I don't think they meant for it to happen this way. But that's my own personal take. Kong kidnapped Shakky from Hachinosu in King Kong form. No. Dude, if Kong is the one who goes to Hachinosu and kidnaps Shakky, I don't know what I'd do. It's just, like I said, he's one of those characters. Will we ever get something from him? This feels like fan fiction, which I know you're joking, by the way. I know you're joking, but still, I just can't imagine Kong leaving his desk. You know, for Akainu, at least for Akainu, we know he's gonna leave it eventually. For Kong, though, I just don't know, man. The day Kong does something, it's gonna be a weird feeling. You know, partially, I'm gonna be elated. I'm gonna be so happy we got another big top-tier Marine on our side. But at another moment, it's gonna feel ethereal, if that makes sense, right? It's gonna feel surreal, like I'm reading a fake chapter. Maybe I'm in a coma, a fever dream. Just, I don't know, man. Kong, in my mind, just exists in limbo. Crazy. Ulti is building a snowman version of Kaido in front of the hero's grave. Yeah, there's gotta be a reason for this. See, this is one of the main reasons why I think whoever is the hero of Ringo, they've gotta be connected to Kaido in a positive way and not just negative, right? I think that's why I lean towards Kyoto or even Shiki or just any member of the Rocks Pirates. Because if not, then this is just ridiculous, right? This is some psychopath stuff, man. Ulti building a snowman of Kaido, looking over the grave of somebody Kaido killed. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Shiki was with this crew for 2 years and threw a bomb to end them, while forgetting that they're essentially nigh invulnerable warriors, with one having the powers to devastate the planet. You could just say that Shiki knew that they're invulnerable to this attack, and that's why he did it, right? You know, maybe deep down, Shiki didn't want to hurt his allies. He's like a tsundere, man. That's all it is. He's just playing hard to get. You know, like, I know they'll survive this. I'll just throw a bomb their way. I have it laying around. Or at least that's like cope, right? At 2820, that's the Minecraft Steve getting damage sound. Oh, damn. Yeah. I clicked on the timestamp earlier. I heard it. It's pretty one-to-one. You got me there. Honestly, the Shakky thing feels like one of Oda's Sanji jokes that ended up being one of his signature, quote, Gota reveals. It's still probably too early to say if she really was the reason for God Valley, though. I don't know if it's too early. And that's mainly because, you know, leading up to this chapter, leading up to this reveal, one of the main reasons for God Valley that I think the general community believed in, which I wish I held a poll on this before this chapter, right? But one of the main reasons was the treasure of Hachinosu. And like I said, back then, a lot of people did believe that the treasure was a devil fruit or an ancient weapon or a poneglyph or etc. But now that we have the Shakky reveal, it's like, wait a minute, was it really just Shakky? I still think it's her. I always refer back to the Kong and Garp panel where they talk about it, and they're like, hey, you should not have poked the beehive. You poked the beehive, and now the bees are coming out. You stole their treasure. Of course, they would want to get it back. And that treasure was, of course, Shakky. And, you know, with this latest chapter as well, even the narrator kind of built it up. They said, hey, when you have a treasure this valuable, it's only a matter of time until somebody wants to take that treasure from you. And that was all in reference to Shakky. So I think it is her. Like I said, there's multiple reasons for God Valley. It's not just Shakky, but I don't think it's insane to say that she's the main reason, right? Shakky number 1, Devil Fruits number 2, and then probably Celestial Dragons number 3, or maybe we flip-flop it a little bit. I feel like if you have a Celestial Dragon, just the ransom money would go insane. Like, you have St. Charlos, you have Charleria, you have, who's their dad again? Roswell. You got Roswell, and you're just like, hey, give me 10 billion berries. Would they pay it? I think so. I definitely think so. I don't know why people care about what caused the God Valley incident. I care more about seeing the incident itself, to be honest. That is true. I think people just kind of built up a grandiose image of God Valley. That's all it is. But at the end of the day, you know, we're still going to get these fights, right? We're still going to have, like, the Garp, Roger team up versus the Rocks Pirates. We're still gonna have Garlic and the old school Holy Knights going all out. Like, Shakky is just one small part of it. And I kind of mentioned this earlier too, but, you know, for all we know, Shakky was rescued immediately, right? Shakky could have been rescued in the first 10 minutes of God Valley, and then after that, we get, like, nuts to butts action. You know, we got characters going after characters, women are scissoring on the island. It could get insane. And Shakky, like I said, could just be one small portion. It's just the lighter to the cigarette. Or if you smoke weed, it's like the lighter to your bowl, to your joint. Oh, look, I still got it. I still got it in me, guys. I'm not outdated yet. Seeing Big Whore Day. That's a crazy. Is this supposed to be Big Mom? What the? Seeing big whore day drinking while pregnant this chapter is a massive gear 4th downscale. Wait, what? Where are we going with this? Massive gear 4th downscale. Luffy was really struggling against fetal alcohol syndrome Katakurian cracker. Bro, stop it. Okay, this might be my favorite comment. What the hell? I mean, I was thinking about this though. Like, yo, she's drinking alcohol, man. Like, she's still popping out triplets and everything. What's going on here? If only Big Mom had a lot of, what's the correct term? Is it prenatal? If only Big Mom was like drinking her whey protein isolates, if only Big Mom was like min-maxing her health, maybe these kids would be a lot stronger, but that's a different topic entirely. Shiki's poker face is awful. He can't even properly pretend that he didn't try to explode his teammates without smiling about it. I don't think the news article was written by Big News Morgans, because he is 53 years old, thus at the time of the flashback, he is 11 years old. So was this 42 years ago? Let me see. You know, it's been a while since the chapter came out. Let me just make sure on the timeline. I think this was 42 years ago, right? King Harald attacking everybody. Let me just go back a little bit. We don't have an exact time frame. It's somewhere in between 44, 42 years ago, but we do know this is confirmed 100%, but 38 years ago, Big News Morgans was the one who reported on God Valley, which would mean at the tender age of 15, Big News was printing important headlines. So going back a little bit more and saying that, oh, at 11 years old, he was the one reporting this, I don't think is so crazy. You know, because if he was already doing God Valley at 15, yeah, you know, doing King Harald at 11, sure, why not? We could just say, though, you know, if we didn't want to go the Big News Morgans route, we could say it was his dad or his mentor, and I don't think that's bad either. I don't think that's bad at all. But yeah, Big News was always that guy. You know, maybe back then he was known as Small News Morgans, but, you know, he was around. Mysterious character. It's not crazy for Kaido to want a devil fruit because he was a teenager around a shit ton of people with fruits. Then, as he grew up, he realized you need crazy Haki too. How is that so hard for people to comprehend? I don't think it's hard to comprehend, and I don't think anybody disputed this or went against this fact, actually. Yeah, I haven't seen a single comment about that yet. I feel like my take for Kaido is that it's still kind of funny just hearing him say this, though. Like, oh, like, you know, Haki surpasses all, but he still has, like, an amazing devil fruit. Like, you need both, right? I think having both is better than just having one or the other, right? You know, having crazy Haki, that can always put you over people, but I feel like having crazy Haki and having a crazy devil fruit, that's a huge W. And let's see, this guy says, yeah, he was already strong, but adding a fruit to his arsenal would propel his strength even further. Yep, same is true with Luffy, right? You know, if Luffy didn't have the Sun God Nika fruit, he would still be strong, but you gotta admit, the Sun God Nika fruit does do wonders. And same with Kaido's devil fruit, right? I feel like a lot of these powers, they work hand in hand. You know, it's never a downside to have a devil fruit. This one says, whoa, this is a long-ass comment. Jesus! Whoa! And this comment's actually for Majin, the same guy who gave us the fetal alcohol syndrome downscale. Seems like we're about to get God Valley and more Rock's lore. So before Oda reveals anything, here's my take on how he knew so much and why he was so strong. He had poneglyphs and was an archaeologist. I think a single poneglyph doesn't hold that much info, so he'd need multiple. That would make him basically Ohara 2.0, which I'm not a fan of. Plus, it raises even more questions. Why was he looking for them in the first place? How could he read them? If it was through the voice of all things, how did he learn to use it? And how did he gather them without ever becoming famous or getting a bounty? The only thing supporting this theory is that Hachinosu had a poneglyph possibly tied to Davy Jones. So to just tackle this first point real quick, I don't think Hachinosu had a poneglyph related to Davy Jones, mainly because he mentioned Davy Jones to Emu before acquiring Hachinosu, so I don't even think that's the case. And to be honest, I feel like this might be something that Oda doesn't tackle too much. And if he did, it could just be boiled down to Syvduck's lineage. Maybe his parents had it, which also, you know, kind of like, hey, just staple it under the wall and call it a day, right? That's how it feels. It couldn't be like the Uchiha Stone tablet. You know, somebody mentioned that a couple weeks back, and I still really like that idea, just because it's just a blanket thing, right? How does Rox know all this? Well, he just had the Uchiha Stone tablet in his basement that had all the lore. Or maybe Rox was like the one and only family or lineage who didn't get wiped from the Void Century. Maybe they're the one family or clan that knows about everything that happened, and they just pass it down. And Rox was just that guy. 2. He learned it from Clover. Not sure if Ohara's knowledge overlaps with Rox's lore. For example, Robin knew almost nothing about Davy Jones. Though Clover surely knew more. Rox knew about Emu, but did Vegapunk? If he did, I think he would have told Dragon. So far, nothing Rox knows overlaps with what Vegapunk said in his speech. 3. It was passed down through the generations. Oh, there's mine right there. Giants didn't pass down the 1st century info over 3 generations, but Rox's family supposedly did over 30 plus generations. That'd be seriously underwhelming, and I really hope that is not the case. Here's the thing. I think you were actually pretty all-encompassing. So I do think it might have to be one of these. And, I think just having a special family that passed it down wouldn't be the craziest. I just feel like we're not going to get too much lore on Rox himself. Blackbeard, yeah. But Rox, I'm not too sure. So here's a good theory to explain it. How he knew how to destroy the WG, why he was so insanely strong yet had no bounty or recognition, how he knew about Emu in the flower room, why Emu and Gunko acted so casual with him, and how he knew about Davy Jones. So, the theory above doesn't look good. The only option that checks all the boxes for me is that Rox was a holy knight, possibly recruited young, like how they wanted to recruit Loki. That would explain 1, how he knew about the flower room, Emu, and why he couldn't just beat them there. 2, why Emu and Gunko were so chill around him. They probably knew him for years. 3, why he knew which devil fruits he needed. 4, what the treasure Marie Joie was. 5, how he knew about Gallilaw giants. And 6, also very important, his insane strength only makes sense if he trained and fought with other top tiers regularly. This, while staying bounteeless, with no recognition, is something we've only seen with the Holy Knights. And that line from the narrator, this would be the first time an intruder got into the flower room, could mean he's been there before, but just not as an intruder. That is true. I just can't imagine him being from a random island where he read poneglyphs and studied archaeology, but was also a Haki god. Basically, the Holy Knights raised him, trained him, and he betrayed them to start his own era. Exactly like how his son, Blackbeard, later betrayed Whitebeard. As for the Davy Jones part, there are multiple possible explanations, but this comment is already long enough. I like that. You're like, I'm gonna stop it right here. I like this theory. I do like this theory. I guess my only complaint, and it's not even a big one, right? I feel like even for these, right? Even for the options you don't enjoy, I feel like there could be like little band-aids we could put over it that Oda could just drop in to make some of this feel right too. But for this, again, we could make it feel right. But Rox is a member of the D clan. Dude, if Emu is letting D clan members join the Holy Knights, then what is he doing? He's letting his greatest ops into the building. I guess that's my only thing. Maybe Rox hid his middle name. Maybe he's always been playing for the D clan and he just never dropped that initial to them. That's fair. But if Emu knew, then that would be a massive fumble. But again, like I said, band-aid statements could come in. Band-aid statements is the wrong way to put it. But Oda could always just come in and just add something random and just kind of make it work. But you're right. I feel like the mystery of Rox is pretty big. I just don't know if Oda will actually tackle it. I don't know. If he does, I think it could just be from Blackbeard's perspective, but we will see. We will see. Good comment, though. Good comment. Crazy. We got like this insane, like well thought out theory from the guy who dropped the fetal alcohol syndrome comment. We had like a whole Jekyll and Hyde situation here, brother. That's so funny. Big Mom releasing her kids into the wild is crazy. So that's what she did. That is exactly what she did. That's what she's doing. And you know what? I'm gonna say it right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some more kids popping out soon. Big Mom and Kaido, they've been gone for a while. And hey, from what I recall from Whole Cake Island, Big Mom did not have an Oni walking around. So maybe, maybe she comes back with a new kid. That would be kind of crazy though, right? This says, I honestly love the Troy reference and humor to it. One Piece is an epic romance-comedy, and I feel like people get to This Is Icky when the ladies get involved. Let's not forget, it's a pirate tale above all else. Booty will play a role in it. All right, though. With that being said, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I really freaking appreciate it. Thank you for sticking around to the end. It really means a lot. And also, the comments mean a lot too. We had a lot of good theories today, especially from Majin. The Majin comments are really sticking with me. I don't know what it is, man. But, yes, on the side, I gotta plug myself. I gotta do it. I have some side channels I just want to shout out real quick, and that would be Syvduck over here on YouTube, Syvduck. That's where I post a bunch of gameplay clips, just random videos in general. So check that out if you have the free time or if you're interested in that stuff. I also stream every other night over on Twitch over at Syvduck as well, and I also have an anime reaction channel here on YouTube at Somnus Reacts, where I react to One Piece and some animes. I was reacting to Dandadan for a while, but I I fell off the train, brother. You know, simple to say, I just fell off the train. Dandadan is a great show. It's just, you know, it's one of those shows that isn't for me. You know, I feel like everybody has a show like that where it's really popular. Everybody's talking about it. You give it a try. You watch through a season. You're on season 2, and then you just kind of forget about it. That was me with Dandadan. Great show though overall, but just couldn't really hook me, you know. But yeah, I will be reacting to other stuff as it comes out. But until then, that is it. Thank you guys one last time for being here and for all the comments, and I'll catch you guys next video. Peace out.